welcome to my first bookbinding video. Just wanted to remind you that I do sell all the books that you see being made here on Etsy under the name Domachi Treasures. The link will be in the description box below because it's kind of a hard name. Okay, let's get started. I found this book at my local thrift store. It was only $1. Dollar books are the best deal unless it's cheaper or free. You want one that's like a hardcover in pretty good shape, or however you like it. Some people like it when they're falling apart more. I typically don't, but we'll see what happens later. Right here I am starting to take the book apart, ripping off the front and back end leaves and figuring out exactly where I should cut to take the book brick out of the bookcase. You also should be very careful with the knife you choose. I think an X-Acto knife would actually be better for this because you don't want to accidentally cut into the spine and leave a hole because you'll have to cover that up, which is fine. I mean, it happens. But and each book is made a little bit differently. Some are nearly impossible to get taken apart. Some are just kind of fall right out. This one was giving me a little bit of trouble. Okay, I got it out. And we're taking a look. And then there's like this extra mesh stuff that was part of the brick. So I'm just taking that off so it's nice and clean. Okay, now I have a little bowl of water because I'm using this stuff called linen hinging tape, which I think is really just for like when you're showing photos or something at a gallery. I don't really know what it's for, but I know that it works really well to reinforce your spine or hinges in books. And the kind I have here is gummed, so you have to add a little bit of water. I don't know if this is any better than the kind that's already glued, like tape or sticker or whatever. I've never used that kind. This is the one I ordered, and it works really well. It hardens really well, and no complaints. Here I'm just measuring it out on the spine and trimming it down. I do end up cutting the width of it down a little bit. You don't necessarily have to do that. For this one, I just wanted it to fit more just on the spine and not on the like U-ing, up, like bending up any. With this stuff you don't want to use too much water, so I'm just dipping my finger in and gently wetting the hinging tape. Then you want it to dry for a little while after. Not like dry, but like let it sit for a little while so it has a chance to gum up before you sit it down. And now I'm attaching it, and even when it's gummed a little bit, gumming, you can still move, like shift it around a little bit to get it in the right space. Then you want to make sure you press it down really well so it sticks everywhere. And then you're going to want to let it sit for at least 5 minutes. You want it to really harden so it's not soft and wet anymore. So while that dries, I am cutting out my piece of vinyl. I'm using premium vinyl. I got this sheet at Joann's Fabrics. I haven't seen them sell it anywhere else. I don't know for sure if they don't, but we have Joann's, Michael's, and Joann's, Michael's, and Hobby Lobby here in Southern California, and I've only seen it at Joann's. I'm using a cutting board so that I can get nice straight lines. You don't have to, you can just cut it, because like on this brand there are little grid lines and you can't just cut on that, but I just choose to use this. And you want to, when you're lining up the spine to cut, you want to make sure there's a little bit of overhang. If you choose to use vinyl, you don't have to use vinyl. It's just, if you don't like the name of the book but you like the cover, you can kind of cover it up with vinyl. Or you can even use lace or glitter spray paint or any kinds of like numerous things you can use. On this book I'm using vinyl. So you just want it to overhang a little bit so it completely sticks down. Then I had not such a big help when my cat came and needed a whole lot of attention. Okay, so now I have already attached the vinyl to the book, and yeah, it does hang over on the words a little bit, but I don't mind that. And then I didn't like cut so it lays flat. I just like folded it right over, because all the little bumps and stuff, it'll be covered up by the inside paper anyway. I'm just making sure that the vinyl is sticking to all the little grooves and corners and everything. Now I have to pick the inside paper, what I want to use, and I picked this pretty pink one that kind of goes with the vinyl. I'm just measuring it out and just folding it over where I should cut it. And then when you do like the lengthwise, make sure you get it into the grooves a little bit so that you don't end up cutting it too short. Which can still be camouflaged if you do. Just if you don't want to have to camouflage it, then just make sure you get in the grooves. Then you also want to leave just a little bit of space around the paper in the book itself so that it looks nicer. And here I'm just trimming off just a little bit more. You can always trim down, you can't make your paper grow again. And I'm using a kind of like a heavy duty glue stick. For this, it's acid free. And I don't recommend using anything that says school glue on it. Just get their like full type of glues. And I also don't want to use liquid glue on this part because it tends to ripple and it just doesn't dry very nice typically, because I tend to over glue when I use liquid glue, so glue sticks just work best for me. And I'm just lining it up, making the grooves on the spine so that when I am ready to glue that part, it'll lay flat against it. Just holding it down, making sure it's really dry before I move on to glue the spine, because you don't want it to move. That's when things start to go wrong. And I'm gonna start to glue the spine part. And kind of just get the glue all over, like on the sides to kind of raise up a little so I can use my nail or my ruler to really get it in there. Because when you look at a normal book, you see that the paper just nicely just folds into those sides there. So that's what I'm trying to accomplish, making sure it's really stuck. Just using that to help make that nice crease. Here I'm just making sure that the part that I've glued does lay the way I want it to, because at this point I still have a little bit of a window where I can take the paper up and re-glue it if I need to. And now I'm going to glue the last side. Again, just reinforce that spine. You really do want it to dry nice on that part. Okay, now I have already selected the paper I'm going to use for the inside of this one. And this one is a light yellow paper. Then I just start folding paper, and then just as I go, just put the folded paper in the book, and you can kind of see, like, estimate how much you're gonna need. I think I'm doing, I don't know, 10 or 20 in each signature for this book. I'm not really sure without looking at it. And I never spend more than $1 for the actual books that I take apart, and the paper I've always found at thrift stores also. It's the cheapest place to find paper, colored paper, for the journals that I make. See, then I'm just kind of sticking them in there and like checking it out, seeing if I need any more paper. Seeing how much room I have left in there. I really like to fill my books up with a whole lot of paper, 'cause I like big chunky books. I also like books that when you open them up, it's right at the first page, the first writing page. So that's why I started making my books like this. I do have some for sale on Etsy that have the inside leaf that's like glued to the first page type thing. But I really like how these ones look and feel. These ones open all the way a lot easier too. They'll lay a lot more flat. And here I always take a scrap piece of paper that I use throughout the whole process of the book. Starting here, I put the page in there and I just kind of start marking what size all the sheets of paper should be, so I can cut this down, and then we'll use it again. And you do want this to be cut straight, because you're going to be measuring all the pages with this. See, then you know it's the right size when you can still see a little bit of the pretty pink paper around the white sheet when you lay it like in the book. Okay, now I'm taking all my already folded signatures and I'm just rearranging the number of pages for each signature. So I think it's, yeah, so I can make room for one more signature. I like having an odd number of signatures in each book. I think it looks nicer than an even number, especially when you're doing the sewing on the outside of the spine rather than like concealed inside. Odd numbers look better. Now I'm just taking the first sheet on each signature and kind of tracing the scrap piece, so that when I cut it down, I can do it all at once. Okay, now how I trim my signatures down, I use, it's not an X-Acto knife, but it's like an X-Acto knife, and I just attach it to a actual cutting board with a clip, and I use a steel ruler to guide myself while I'm cutting it. You want to use a steel cut ruler and not like plastic or wood, because you can easily cut into those. Just clip it down, get my general knife out, line it up, and just start cutting. I also find that this General brand, their grips are a lot easier to hold on to than the X-Acto knife brand, because they have that extra like triangle grip and it's a little bit thicker. And I unclip it and clip it down there. And shave it all off again. I just put them all in there. Make sure they line up well and that it's still thick enough for your liking. You just keep going until you're done with the stack of signatures you have. And there you go. I'm very tidy. I tend to clean up as I go. Same as when I'm cooking, actually. Okay, so now you want to get your thread out. I use it's not like a regular thread, it's thicker. I think it's for like cross stitch, or like maybe not cross stitch, maybe like making doilies and stuff, that kind of thread that they use. And then I do have a thicker needle that has a large eye in it. And this awl that I use, I don't know if this is really what it's called, because this one has a 90-degree angle, and I got this in a set of like 4 different types of weird ends at my local hardware store. And this thing is so much nicer than using an awl, like a regular awl. Here I'm just going back to that scrap paper and I'm marking out 3 holes where I'm going to sew my signatures. I always use a pamphlet stitch, which is the 3 holes you see here. It's just easier. I've done books that are much more complicated from complete scratch, where there's like 40 signatures and crazy stitching, and it gives me a headache, honestly. So this pamphlet stitch is much nicer because you can do each signature separately. You don't have to worry about getting your thread all tangled, which I always do. So I open up one of the signatures, I put the scrap sheet in, and then I just kind of poke a hole, and then I remove that, make sure everything's lined up, and I just poke it all the way through. Because it's already like a pre-hole, so it just falls right into the groove of that. Makes it much easier. And I never do more than 10 sheets of paper at a time, because then it gets kind of too thick. then I kind of got my paper wet a little bit on that one, so you could see. I didn't notice right away, so by the time I did, it was kind of too late. Okay, now I get my book back and I try to line it up with the scrap piece of paper again so I know exactly where I should put the holes. You can either do this from the outside or the inside. Doing it from the inside is probably easier. I don't typically do it from the outside. I don't know why I chose to do it this way this time. And then you can also mark these out before you start poking holes, which is probably a much safer idea, actually. But again, this time I didn't, for whatever reason. But at least I did get the ruler out to try and make this straight. I like to start with the middle hole, just because I guess it's probably easier to line the paper up again after that. You don't have to do it this way though. And I just kind of estimated where I should put the holes. I just kind of wiggle the all around, make the holes a little bit bigger and easier to thread. And again, if you do want to do the vinyl, you can make it so it doesn't hang over on the front and back cover as much. You just want to make sure it's enough so that it stays stuck down and doesn't like come up when you open and close the book. There are other ways to camouflage it, which we will be doing in other videos with other books that I make. And then I just keep going with the top and the bottom. Okay, and we're back. And here I am just sewing the pages in. So with a pamphlet stitch, you start from the middle hole, and because the thread on this spine is exposed, I start from the inside going out. If I was doing this with like a piece of cardboard that I was then gluing into the book, I would start from the outside in so you didn't have the knot in the middle of the signatures. But this one, so I start from the inside with the needle going out, and then I go over to the right side, go through that hole, and then around to the left side, and then back through the middle. And I can make another tutorial just on stitching, but there are other videos on YouTube to learn how to do this. And I always do my thread over 3 lengths of the book, because I also double the thread, so it's never just like one single thing. It makes it sturdier. See, so that big thick thread right there, it's actually doubled. It's not just a singular thing. And then I go out through that hole. I always do like the paper and then the book, and out there, and then back through the middle here. And then you want to just adjust, like from the outside, adjust it so it's tight, and then in the middle you just pull those so that that's tight. And then I also always, when I tie the knot, I have like one thread on each side of the middle thread, so that when I tie the knot, I can tie the knot around the middle thread. It also makes it a lot sturdier too. And just cut it down. And I always start from the back signature first. See, there you can see me doubling the thread and then tying the knot. And don't do it tight at first, because you want to tighten it up after, so there's room to poke the needle through everything. And now we are done. And I'm just holding it, inspecting it, appreciating it. Making sure all the signatures are tightly in. And yeah, it feels good. Looks good. It's a cute little book. Yeah, I love that. You just open it up and the first page is right there available. I'm just showing you kind of how flat it lays doing it this way. Yeah, the pages still stick up like a little boy's haircut, okay? But the book itself does lay flat, which I love. And then you can also do things like tie those together and add beads, or you can do lots of things, which we'll be doing in other videos also. Yeah. There you go. This is... And over time, they will start to lay more flat. You can also put like a rubber band type thing or elastic just to hold it shut, to I guess like kind of train it to stay shut all the way. Or you could just add less pages. But like I said, I do like chunky books, so it doesn't bother me that they don't lay flat right away necessarily. Like when they're closed, the cover just comes up a little bit. Yeah. Thank you for watching this video. I will be making more. I love making journals, and I love sharing it with you all. Have a good day.